click and erase on the shortcut menu. So we're back to our nice clean rectangle that we started with in the previous video. Now we're going to go down to the status bar. We're going to come down here to Polar. Polar should be on already. It's normally on by default. It's that one there. So if it's grey like that, click on it so it's blue so that it's on. And you can see on the command line there, it's now telling me that Polar is on. So if I click here on the flyout now, it will tell me the angle that Polar is set to. I'm going to set it to 45-degree angle increments by clicking on 45, like so. Now, before we go any further, also make sure that your object snap tracking here is on and your object snaps are on. Check your object snaps like we did previously. Make sure you've got those 5 object snaps: endpoint, midpoint, center, intersection, and extension switched on. Then just click in the drawing once to lose the object snap menu. We're going to use the line command again. So home tab on the ribbon, draw panel, and click on the line command like so. And I come into the drawing area. It's asking for the first point of my line. I'm going to hover here and click on the endpoint snap there. So left click and my line starts like so. Now as I drag the mouse, can you see when I hit 45 degrees, I get the green dashed Polar tracking line. And it's telling me there, can you see 45 degrees on the dynamic input, and the actual angle I'm working at is 315 degrees, you can see there. Now, I've also got my object snap tracking on. So if I now just hover over this midpoint here on this vertical side of the rectangle, and then just drag out slightly, watch what happens. As I hit that 45-degree line, can you see the Polar tracking kicks in, and I also get an intersection there. So I now know that that 45-degree line comes down on that second end of the line directly opposite the midpoint showing there on the left on the vertical side of the rectangle. So I can left click and I know that that's exactly at 45 degrees. You can see now as I follow the 45-degree line down again on the Polar tracking, this time you can see it's kicking in. And as I come down, I don't need to worry because I can just come down to that end point and I know it's at 45 degrees. Can you see that there? I'm following it down. And then when I hit the end point, I just left click and then enter to finish. And I know that both of those two lines are at 45 degrees. That's the Polar tracking kicking in and the object snap tracking kicking in. Let's have a look now at the ortho setting in AutoCAD, orthogonal. And what that means is it's tying you down to the X and Y axes in your AutoCAD drawings. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is when I come down here to the status bar and switch on ortho, known as ortho mode, and as you can see there, it says restrict cursor orthogonally, which is very difficult to say when you're recording videos. You'll notice Polar turns off. You cannot have Polar and ortho on at the same time. It's one or the other. So let's draw some lines now with ortho switched on. I'll go back to the line command. I'm going to go to this midpoint snap here, left click. Now as I come across, when I go up and down, can you see I can only go horizontally or vertically? So at the moment, I can't really go anywhere. But if I go from that original point, can you see I can come vertically down? So I'm just going to come all the way across like so. And when I get to that midpoint there, left click and enter to finish. So you can see that ortho will give you an exact horizontal or vertical line. Talking of vertical, let's repeat that. Let's go back to the line command. I'll go to this midpoint now, and as I come down, you'll notice I'm moving the crosshair. Can you see I can only go vertically or horizontally? So I come vertically down, hit the midpoint there, left click, enter to finish, and I don't even need my object snaps on to get those midpoints because I know that they are orthogonal lines. They're vertical or horizontal and they're true. They're going to be exactly horizontal or exactly vertical. I'm just utilizing the object snaps there for a visual purpose so that I can see where I'm going in the video. But you would not need your object snaps on if you've got orthogonal or ortho switched on as well. So as you can see there, you've got different ways of placing lines and objects at different angles as you start creating the geometry in your AutoCAD drawings. Once again, we're staying in our geometry.dwg file, and as you can see, I've left it in the same state as it was at the end of the last video. Now, just before we get started on lines, arcs and circles, we need to do a little bit of housekeeping on our